What is going on, everybody? Welcome to a episode. Welcome to another episode of Let's
Take two, actually.
Yeah. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Let's Do a Podcast. I'm Ryan.
I'm Anthony.
And it's been a little bit. We took a little break. Had some.
It is summer break after all.
Yeah, we need a little summer break. Actually, my dog passed away, so I just took some time to, grieve and just try to feel normal-ish. And the people that know me, my dog was a huge part of my life. So, so that's why we kind of took a break, and now we're back. So, back with a banger. But before we get with that, let's drink some beer.
All right.
Because it's been a while since I've had a beer, as in, well, I think it was Saturday. So,
It's been at least a week for me, so.
Oh yeah, good for you though. I don't drink at
after
home.
Surgery, so.
Yeah. That's why it's good for you, because you're not, you're not breaking the rules.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't drink at home anymore though. Like me and Hannah were talking about that. I was just like, it's been a while since I've made a drink at home. I was like, it's usually for our podcasts. Like if I want to drink, it's usually I want to go out and have one,
Yeah.
Plus, most of the beers I have are unique ones that I'm like, I want to drink on the podcast to have it recorded.
Exactly. You save them, right? Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So
I feel like all the beers that I have for drinking, just like casual drinking, are like the boring beers like Mich Ultra and Yingling.
Yeah.
I save all the fun beer for the podcast.
Exactly. And every once in a while I think I'm like, oh, I should buy this beer for the podcast. But I'm like, I'm still trying to go through like that crate of beer that I bought. So
yeah.
So I am drinking a brew from Washington called Ice. It's the company. My brain is fried today.
It's hard. Yeah.
So it is a company called Icicle Brewing Company, and the beer is called Enchantment's Hazy IPA.
Ooh.
I know. And I guess this is like a series, and on the can it doesn't tell you which one it is. So I had to just scroll through Untapped for so long to find, honestly, the artwork that matched. But yeah, it's a hazy IPA, 6.7 ABV, 35 IBU. Has an average of a 4.6, so not too bad.
Nice.
It's a delightful hazy IPA with the 13th in our Enchantment series. Featured abundant amounts of Citra, Mosaic, Satra, and Eldorado hops.
Nice. Those are good hops.
They are. You can expect intense notes of and aromas of citrus, peach, grapefruit, mesh. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
fresh.
Had me until that.
Yeah. Fresh melon and tropical fruity melody. So, man, I was doing good at first with the reading. I was like, all right, I'm actually reading this okay. And then I said that. I'm like, oh, I don't want this beer.
Screen window.
Yeah. So what do you got for us, Anthony?
All right. So in the spirit of today's movie, I have Moon Landing from 903 Brewers.
Ooh.
So Moon Landing, it has the following verbiage on here, and I'm not gonna read it on the can because I can't read it because it's too dark. But it's I have it on my phone here, fortunately. So it says, Houston, we have a pastry stout. This is a pastry stout, by the way. It's an Imperial double pastry stout. Loaded into our Moon Landing Imperial Stout is a constellation of chocolate and marshmallow flavors. This stout pours dark like a supermassive black hole, emitting inviting aromas of cocoa and hints of sweet vanilla from its opaque depths. Bready fullness and chocolatey roasted malts lend. There's a lot here to say. The backbone to the astronomical additions of chocolate and marshmallow flavors. Moon Landing is an otherworldly delight, boasting full flavors and sweet with bittersweet balance. Mission accomplished. both reading and drinking.
2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we try to do the theme. He got the moon theme. I couldn't find anything very space, but I was just like, hey, in there's like a snowstorm and a apocalypse type thing. So there we go.
But all right, I'm gonna go ahead and crack this open here. I have not had this yet. Oh, it smells chocolatey.
Oh,
I just splashed it a little bit.
oh, yummy.
Yeah.
But yeah, mine's very hazy. It's very, very fruity. I like it.
All right, let me see if I can do this without spilling everywhere. I can't. I'm just gonna
Oh
pour it over
gosh.
here.
Yeah. And of course, you can tell it's gonna be a bad pour just by the noise it made.
Yeah.
Which everybody, of course, if you want to watch us interact and look at our beers and our faces for some reason, you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Facebook and YouTube is Let's Do a Podcast. Twitch is Let's Twitch a Pod. Twitch a Podcast, I think it is. Because Let's Do a Podcast was taken. So
Face Talks, the Twitch books.
The Twitch books. The YouTube face. There you go, U-face.
Ugram.
But yeah, so we do videos there as well, and yeah, it's fun.
That was a messy pour too. It wasn't just like a bad pour. It was also like leaking outside the can. I don't know what the deal is here.
Oh, geez.
Not doing too hot. Sticky. I tell you what.
Just the way I like it.
I want to cook brats in this. Is what I want to do.
Oh no. Which I know we've told that story before, but yeah. I think, was it a Memorial Day weekend or something like that? Or is it 4th of July?
It may have been. I think we did it once for Oktoberfest, and I think we did it another time for 4th of July, which was a Russian Imperial Stout. Worked one time very well, worked another time very badly. So
yes, we got a different brand because we couldn't find the original brand. And so we both had 2 different beers, and we just like let our brats marinate in them and then cooked with them and stuff like that. And yeah, some of them, the last batch was probably the worst brats I've ever had.
But that being said, if anybody out there is from Nebraska and has access to Black Betty Russian Imperial Stout, please send me some. I can't find it anywhere in Texas.
Yeah, it's a good beer, and it's really good with brats, which was surprising to all of us. What do you think?
Very sweet. Tastes like a moon pie. So,
do you like moon pies?
Moon pies are pretty good.
Okay. Because I was going to say, if you were not a fan of moon pie, then it's probably you're not going to be much of a fan of this.
Got that bready flavor with vanilla, chocolate, and marshmallows. And it's not that overly thick. I've had some marshmallow stouts in the past that are like, tastes like they literally melted marshmallows into the beer, and it was like really viscous and thick. This is not that. This is a little bit thinner. So if it was any thinner, I'd say it's a porter, but it is sticky. So
you need to go wash your hands.
I'll live. I'll survive through the podcast. You maybe see me just kind of doing one of these things. So I'm wishing I had Purell.
All right. So of course, if we remember, which we in the past have done a really good job at remembering, this stretch is giving our final reviews and rating the beers at the end of the episode.
Half the reason of the podcast.
Yes. One of the reasons we need to remember to do it. But
yes.
So Anthony, what events do you have for us coming up in the DFW area?
All right, so we got beer and Big D news and events. We'll start with the events. So there's actually not a ton of events going on. I lost my mouse here. But we got coming up 4th of July weekend. So I know a lot of you guys are going to be doing family events, blowing shit up, fireworks and all that. But for those of you out there trying to hit up the breweries, we got Rollertown Beer Works. They have their 3rd anniversary weekend. They're going to be going all weekend this weekend. 3rd anniversary out in Salina. Starts at noon every day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Go check those guys out. They've been rocking and rolling now for 3 years. give them some love. We also have a few releases coming out. Turning Point's got a new release. False Idol's got a taproom release for Ragnarok and Three Sword Style. Let's see, a couple of barbecues going on. Panther Island's got a barbecue going on Friday the 30th, July 30th, that is. Beer run, the weekly beer run's going on in Martin House on Saturday. But otherwise, biggest event on the calendar is a little bit further out. We have the actually Division Brewing, not a little bit further out, but pretty close. We got a watch party for the Arlington Fireworks Show at Division Brewing on July 3rd. Kaboom Town Party at Bitter Sisters, July 3rd as well. Odd News has their Backyard Bash on July 3rd. Yeah, everything's like just over the horizon on the announcements here. That's why I missed it all. Brews and Booms, Panther Island Brewing on 4th of July. Martin House has their 4th of July picnic going on. Again, that's on 4th of July. And then we have getting past 4th of July, biggest events coming up. We have the Summer Beer Bumble in downtown Garland on July 8th. I'm looking forward to this. I probably won't be there, but I would love to enjoy it. But a French fry eating contest at World of Beer in Fort Worth on July 13th. I love World of Beer. British Independence Day beer tasting at the Ginger Man on July 22nd. I think there's just the one location now. Yep. And then we have Division Brewing again. They have a Wizard Fest on August 19th, getting out a little bit further. And then the Dallas Observer Brew Fest is going to be at the Dallas Farmers Market on September 9th, getting way out there. I will be out of town for that, unfortunately. That's a kind of a bummer. But then also getting out to October, we have the Best Little Brew Fest in Texas in Old Town Louisville. So just some stuff to put on your calendar. And if I read it too fast for you, if you want to go back and look at it, it's at beerinbigd.com. Click the North Texas craft beer events. He updates these all the time. As far as news goes, I have one sad piece of news. Cowtown's closing their South Lake satellite location. I've been there once or twice. Unfortunately, it's further away than the main brewery for me, but it was a nice location. If you were out there going to some of the bougie places like Trader Joe's and some of the fancy stuff down in South Lake, but there's nothing happening with the main location. Cowtown is still going strong. They're just closing down their satellite location. So sad to hear they're closing the satellite location, but if you want that sweet Cowtown beer, head down to Cowtown Brewing down in Fort Worth to get your good stuff there. But that closed this past weekend on the 24th. So, but yep. Otherwise, everything's rocking and rolling. If you want to check out some of the other news, again, beerinbigd.com. He updates this all the time. Last update was on June 24th, and it's only been 2 days since the last update. So he updates this every couple of days. So check it out. He's doing the work so you don't have to.
Exactly. And as always, it is always in the show notes of our podcast episodes and on Facebook, wherever you watch our video, it's in the notes in there. So, we make sure to show the love. But yeah, so there is the beer news and events in the DFW. Now we're talking about movies and shows that are either out or coming out. So to start off with, we're going to talk about one that's coming out, which I'm super excited about. It is What We Do in the Shadows. Have you seen that yet, Anthony?
So I'm like 2 seasons behind.
Okay. Yeah. So on July 12th, the newest season will be out. I am so excited about that. We've binge watched all the other seasons. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
So excited about this one to come out. Yeah, the commercial for it or the trailer for it is so ridiculous and insane. But if you've seen it before, then you'll instantly love the trailer. This is actually already out, which I didn't realize, but The Bear season 2 is out.
Yeah, that just started too.
Yeah, that came out on the 22nd. Which I haven't seen this newest season, but I loved the first one. It was very stressful, especially somebody that worked in the food industry.
It's stressful for somebody who has not worked in the food industry. I was stressed, and I never worked in the food industry.
Like I could only do like one episode at a time because I was just like, oh my god, like just like having flashbacks and all those kind of things. But it's a good show. It's really interesting. I'm excited to watch the second season of this. Let's see, I think I have another. Oh yeah, so another TV series. I don't see a date, but I think it's already out. Which there's a new season of Black Mirror.
Oh, that's out already. Yeah, I've
It's
seen
out
one
already.
episode so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
May I recommend Joan is Awful to start your journey there?
yeah.
It's
Uh,
pretty bonkers in a good way, not a scary
yeah.
way.
It might take some time for me to lead up to watching an episode. Like I can only do one episode again at a time because they are just crazy. Like it's so just intense.
Yeah, that one was pretty fun. It's one of those ones where you're like, "What?" and then you're like, "What?" and then it goes keep going, and you're like, "What?" It's like it just gets more and more ridiculous. That was one of the fun episodes. There are some that I get pretty brutal and pretty like bleak. That one was just like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. Oh, that's good to know. Two more things to talk about, which is on June 30th, the brand new Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny will be out.
Yes. That
Um,
one, I thought that one came out like a month ago because I saw all the reviews for it come out like they lifted all the reviews for it like a month ago. So I thought it was out already, and it turns out it doesn't come out like for another few days.
yeah. So, I mean, it'll probably be one that I watch at home. I don't
Yeah.
know if I'll go see it in theaters. I mean, granted, I haven't gone to theaters since Black Panther. So, and last but not least, it's already out, which is The Flash. I have not seen it yet,
Saw it.
but I've heard really good things about it, so I'm excited to watch it.
If you're really into the DCEU, not to be confused with the DCU, which does not lead into at all. It's completely Snyder verse esque, in at least in connections. Check it out. If you like the multiverse stuff, check it out.
Yeah.
If you like Keaton Batman, check it out. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. It's a fun movie.
And that's what I heard. I heard it's fun. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of like the mood that I've been in is like I just want to watch stuff that's fun. Like we're going through Psych, which I think I've even talked about that on here. Like we're going through it again. I don't know how many times, but we're about to finish it. And then we're gonna watch all the Psych movies. And it's just like I've just been in the mood for like funny, silly, just like fun stuff lately. So that's like these harder show, not harder, but like more what's the words I'm looking for? Like Black Mirror and those kind of like heavy shows. Like I kind of haven't been watching many of those yet, but
Yeah, it's like I also recently just started Secret Invasion on Disney Plus. Just started the new Marvel show. They got a series of shows that are going to be coming out here. They got Secret Invasion, and then in a few weeks they'll have Ahsoka starting in August, I believe. I think that's when Secret Invasion completes. And then there's another one. I think Loki starts after that completes. So they got some back to back shows coming up here.
I'm so far behind on my Disney Plus shows.
Hey, you got like a nice run of stuff to go because it's all like light and fun. So
Yeah, I need to get to it.
But I'm ready for this. I'm ready for Ahsoka to start because it's featuring my favorite Star Wars villain of all, Grand Animal Thrawn, and I'm currently almost done with listening to the audiobook for the introduction of the Thrawn character, and it kind of gives you some really good background into his motivations. So I'm really interested in that, and it's also connecting to one of my favorite Star Wars cartoon series, Rebels. It kind of brings some of those characters into live action as well. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Nice. That'll be great. I really need to sit down and just start watching stuff from there because I'm so far behind. All right, let's get into our movie. So this week we are watching Moonfall. Which apparently there's another Moonfall that came out in 2006 that I did not know about. Yeah. I don't know. That was
I didn't
just
know about that either.
whenever I looked up Moonfall, I saw one that came out in 2006, and one like the one that we watched. I didn't look up the other one, but yeah. So Anthony, you want to give us the synopsis, and then we will chat about it, and then talk about the things we like and dislike, and then rate it.
All right. Fortunately, the synopsis is really short.
Yes.
So what they say is a force knocks the moon from its orbit and sends it on a collision course with Earth. Former astronauts convinced she knows the key to saving us, but only a former lover and outsider believe her. That's 100% incorrect. That is like one of the worst descriptions I've seen for one of these movies. A former astronaut is convinced she knows the key to saving us, but only a former lover and an outsider believe her. That's not even close. Is that like from the last movie? Is that from the 2006 one you looked at?
I don't know, but that's really weird. That makes zero sense.
All right, let me try again here. So, the world stands on the brink of annihilation when a mysterious force knocks the moon from its orbit and sends it hurtling towards a collision course with Earth. With only weeks before impact, NASA executive Jacinda Jo Fowler teams up with a man from her past and a conspiracy theorist for an impossible mission into space to save humanity. I think that's more correct.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds
not
better.
100% correct, but still like more correct. Because not former lover was not a thing. They were like besties.
Yeah, this is
like I mentioned in the first scene that he was just at her wedding before they were in space.
Yeah. Well, all right.
Anywho, I was just thrown by that.
Yeah. It's so it looks like the budget for it was $150 million.
And Roland Emmerich making those dollars work for him. That guy, man, the man who brought you Earth being destroyed by aliens, Earth being destroyed by earthquakes, Earth being destroyed by aliens again, Mayan prophecy, and now by the moon. It's like, what's he got? What's he gonna do next? Is my question.
Yeah. So, but sadly, worldwide gross is only 67 million, so they definitely did not make the money back. It's a very interesting movie. It definitely kept. So this is actually my second time watching it, because I watched it, I think. Oh man, I can't remember when I watched it. I watched it quite a while ago. And then whenever you're like, hey, I want to watch this, I'm like, cool, I'll watch it again, because I remember I liked it. And then still the second time through, I was like, okay, this is still like keeping my attention, because there's a lot that happens in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those where like there's a lot that happens, but there's kind of not a lot that happens, in the sense of just like, talking about like the synopsis of the movie. Like overall, the concept is very simple, but at the same time, it's just
the moon falls.
Yeah, the moon is falling towards Earth.
It's like deceptively simple until like it's like complicated, like in the last third of the movie.
Yeah, they bring in the aliens and find out.
That was a bonkers turn, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy.
There was no telegraphing of that, because like there was a guy who was like, the moon's hollow, and you're like, that guy's a fucking nut job. But then all of a sudden the fucking moon's hollow and it's full of spaceships. Pretty much the moon is a freaking, I would say almost like a space station type place. Like a space station, yeah.
Yeah, it's so crazy, and it has the outer shell.
It's around like a dwarf star or something.
Yeah, like it takes an insane twist, but it adds that another level of interesting that you don't expect. I'm blanking.
Some of the really cool things about the movie. So like it follows. What's his? Not Jack McDivitt. Jack McDivitt's the guy who wrote a book called Moonfall.
Brian Harper.
Brian Harper. So I'm just going to call them by their real name. So Halle Berry and come on, and Patrick Wilson and John Bradley. They're the three mains. Halle Berry and Patrick Wilson. They basically are in space 10 years prior, and then Brian Harper, Patrick Wilson, whatever you want to call him, he gets blamed for a meteor hitting the space shuttle, and then he lands it dead sick, which I think is like a pretty baller move. But then he gets kicked out of NASA because he's a space hero.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Halle Berry gets promoted, and then you have John Bradley, who plays Casey Houseman. He's you probably have seen him if you're a fan of Game of Thrones. He's I think he plays Sam in Game of Thrones, one of the friends of Jon Snow. He's a wackadoo conspiracy theorist who basically thinks the moon is exactly what it turns out to be in the movie, and he basically saves the world by telling everybody the moon is falling. The craziest thing is that he gets the emergency management agency to announce the moon is falling because he tweets that the moon is falling, and then everybody gets alerts on their phone that the moon is falling. If that's how like the emergency management agency like really worked in real life, we'd be getting that shit all the time.
I thought
people
that
posting
too,
random ass shit.
because I just yeah, whenever it's just like through Twitter, I'm like, no, nobody would pay attention to it still. Like,
It's like as soon as Elon retweeted that shit, which he does say in a 2022 movie, what would Elon do? And I'm just like, dude, that's like say that in 2015 and maybe you got some credibility, but you say that in 2022 when this movie came out and you're like, man, Elon's a dill hole now. It's like,
yeah,
you can't use him for that.
yeah.
Like, what would Elon do? It's like, what would an insufferable asshole do? Is basically what you just said.
Yeah, whenever I heard that, I was like, man, that did not age well, and it's only been a year.
Yeah, you can tell that somebody didn't go back and do script revisions. It's like pick somebody else. Like, what would Neil deGrasse Tyson do, or something like that? I don't know. Somebody better. What would Bill Nye do?
Exactly.
Yeah. Somebody more sciencey.
But yeah, I mean, I think that it's super fun. It's so much fun to watch again. And the concept, like I don't know, like I enjoyed. So I guess let's go on to the things that we liked about this movie, because I'm about to share it anyways. I really liked that it's the type of movie that we've seen before, but then it turns into the movie that we hadn't seen this before. You know, like, you kind of got the feel of it's another like disaster movie.
Yeah, I kind of feel like this movie, if you took two Roland Emmerich movies and you took like 2012 and then combined it with Independence Day, like, so first half 2012, second half is Independence Day, I feel like that would be this movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why it's like we've seen this before. Like we've seen the disasters, because it shows a lot, especially like whenever they're in space to like blow. Originally, the plan was to blow up the moon or whatever, blow up the alien
Blow up
weird thing,
the nanobots,
the AI. Yeah. So whenever they're doing that, it still shows all the shenanigans happening back down here, and it's really fun to watch because I love disaster movies like that. So it kind of got the itch of the space stuff, and you scratch the itch of like the disaster, and then you get the aliens, and then your ancestors, and it's like all this stuff and it all like it all meshed well, like, you know, because we've seen a lot of movies, you and me, we've seen a lot of movies where they try to do too much and it just doesn't work. Yeah. Or they drop off like big plots and just bring it back to one plot, and you're like, what happened to everything else that we were just trying to do?
Yeah, they did tie everything up at the end. There were some plots out there. There were some plot points out there that I'm like, I could have lived without this, but they did tie everything up at the end. Yeah, more or less.
So I really liked that like, even though like you had one layer, and then they added another, then they added another. So we were up to like 4 or 5 big layers, and it all kind of came down to a good ending that you're happy
Mm,
with. Um, so I thought it was executed perfectly. Honestly,
yeah.
that is what I liked about this movie.
Yeah, what I liked about this movie was that the effects, per usual for Roland Emmerich, his plots may be questionable or bonkers or like what the fuck? What the fuck were you thinking, dude, when you were writing this? But his execution on the effects side of things, I don't know how he did it with this budget because this budget is not very high compared to a lot of these big Hollywood blockbusters. Now, it's not, let's say 300 million is like your grade A blockbuster movie. This is maybe half of that, so maybe it is kind of expensive for the kind of movie it is, and maybe it's because of the effects, but all the effects were pretty good. Like you get these disaster effects where you have like the moon comes close, so like stuff starts getting sucked into the air. You have all these set pieces where like the family after is like running through the forest. Trees are getting like grabbed by the moon. The oxygen's getting sucked away. They're fighting bandits. I don't understand that bandits part. We'll talk about that in the next part. But then we have also the bits where they're in the space shuttle and they are taking off through the ocean, which is great. That was like my favorite thing is when they're like taking off from Vandenberg Air Force Station on the West Coast, which they even show us how they got the space shuttle there. They take it from mothballs in the California Science Center and take it up to Vandenberg, like a good like 50 miles away. Then they truck it over there and mount it up like in the course of days. It's crazy to me. It's like something from The Martian where they say like you have 20 days to get this package ready to send to Mars. But they get it mounted up on the boosters again, stuff that we don't have the infrastructure for anymore. But it's I believe it that if we were in that such dire circumstances, they would just make it happen.
Yeah,
It may not work well, but they're gonna do what they can just to get it going. But and then it's believable that stuff starts failing, people leave, and they're like, the moon's so close, we can just go. And then they take off through the ocean because the ocean just kind of swallows up the space shuttle as it's taking off, but the power of science just makes it push through. And then all the bits where they're flying to the moon and they fight the nanobots, I'd say are the worst effect because it's just nanobots. It's kind of like the robots in Transformers where it's just kind of a nondescript blob.
yeah, yeah.
But when they get inside the moon, like all the like environments inside the moon are really cool looking too, and they're really well defined. And there's like a sense of like architecture to it, where it's like a visual style to it that I think is really well defined as well. So the effects are my favorite part of this movie. They did such a good job with it. It's a visual style, a visual language to it. You can tell what is what belongs to what, like faction, I guess you could call it. Where you have like humans, and then you have like the proto-humans stuff, and then you have like the evil nanobot blob, and it's just it helped make things make sense. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree. So my dislike, it's I can't I can't figure out if it's the writing, or if it's the actors, but Brian Harper, his family thing, I didn't care. Like, and they tried really hard because like they tried to make it so it was, you know, the space journey and then like his family trying to survive. But it's just like, I don't know, like I couldn't get into it.
No, it's not where the action was. That was so. I'm just gonna go ahead and spoiler. This is my thing too. It's the kids. Why do I care about the kids? They're not in space. They're just like the people suffering through the circumstances of the moon.
Yeah, it's just their adventure that like I get what they're trying to do with it. It's trying to show just the struggle of what's happening in down at the on Earth.
Yeah,
but like it's also, it feels like it's written like they're also like not even second tier, like fourth tier characters.
yeah.
Where it's
But then
just
you
like,
get to fight rednecks and pickup trucks.
yeah, which come on, that was honestly the best part. Even though it doesn't quite like, you're like, okay, it still is like, okay, it's at least cool, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
And then the obvious advertisement for Lexus as well.
Yeah. I did like that Michael Pena's character. R.I.P. Michael Pena. He can't survive in his own movies, and he doesn't survive in movies where he's not the lead. That guy is just
He
like
just can't.
he's just like Michelle Rodriguez. He does not survive in movies. Poor guy. I
Yeah.
love him in every movie he's in. He's been in several movies we've done, and this guy just does not live through his movies.
Yeah, he's such a great actor. He really is.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'd say that that's really the thing that I disliked the most was like they tried really hard. They tried really hard at making you care about these people that you just I think it might be the writing that
Yeah.
you just can't get into caring about them. You care about almost everybody else, but you just don't with them.
Yeah, it's really so in this movie we had an A plot, B plot, and a C plot. A plot was the guys on the spaceship going to the moon. B plot was the kids and families. Like we had a B a B1 and a B2 plot until it just became the joint B plot. Well, sort of the B plot joined the other B plot that was already in progress, like in the background. With Michael Pena, when they just kind of ran into Michael Pena and the family in Colorado on their way to NORAD, and then you had the folks in NORAD, because there was the C plot of are they going to launch the nukes at the moon? And I feel like we could have moved that C plot up to B plot and made that much more of a narrative force, because there's like we want to succeed, but we have the ticking clock of they're going to launch nukes at the moon. Make that the B plot and just eliminate the current B plot altogether, or go ahead and get them to NORAD quicker. And so they're in the background, they're yelling, don't launch nukes at the moon, and have them do something to keep them from launching nukes at the moon. And just kind of make that all into a joint B plot to kind of help things. But A plot and C plot are like related to each other in that they have an effect on each other. But the B plot with the family just kind of running through the woods, fighting rednecks and like neo-Nazis or whatever, people who are just like also trying to survive but are being dicks about it. They just had no connection to the people in space until the very end, where they're like, hey, we're nearby where you guys landed the space shuttle or the rover, or what did they land in? I forget.
Yeah, it's some I don't even know what it is.
I forget what they landed in. So
Yeah, yeah. It's I feel like it's like you said, it's a B plot, but it feels like it should be like a C, like lower plot.
Or not a plot.
Yeah, truly.
It seems like they were using it to pad time is what they were doing. When they could have fleshed out the NORAD stuff a little bit more, I think. But but I think they wanted also to show like the folly of the military industrial complex, and that they like in the end, didn't all the guys in NORAD die?
Yeah, something like that.
So, and they couldn't have the family there where the NORAD, the military industrial complex representation dies, bringing a fresh new world, which honestly, the other thing that I find, maybe it's not a thing I don't like about this movie, it's just a reality of this, is that the world, you guys saved the world from destruction, but billions of people are dead and all the infrastructure is destroyed. You're in a hellscape now.
Yeah, you're pretty much starting back at the Stone Age. Like,
yeah, even if like you somehow were able to get all the stuff on the moon to come down and help you guys, it's still like dire straits for Earth at this point. So
because there's not a lot of animals left.
Yeah.
Like, there's no animals really. Like
they all got sucked up on the moon.
That and like a lot of the air got sucked out too, so a lot of them died. Like, cool. So you saved the Earth, but you're probably gonna die now.
Yeah, it's like shit's still fucked.
Yeah, you're not done. You're actually just now getting started.
This is this is a prequel to The Postman, if you weren't aware. So
yeah, you saved the Earth. Now it's time to survive on the Earth.
Exactly.
So cool. Let us rate this movie. So we are on Letterboxd, which is a pretty much a movie rating platform. You can find us there at Let's Do a Podcast, of course. So from 1 to 5, you can do halves. How would you rate this movie, Anthony?
So let's go by point structure here. So my rubric, Roland Emmerich by itself gets it at least 1 star.
Mm-hmm.
The plot is intelligible, 2 stars. It's actually kind of fun, 3 stars, and then that surprise twist at the end there, 0.5 star. How many stars total can we give it?
We can give it 5 total.
Yeah, I give it 3.5 stars. It was crazy, fun, disaster movie by Roland Emmerich. So par for the course for this guy. Everything he does, it may not make the most sense, but it's fun. This movie actually made sense, and I enjoyed it. And it had that just fun twist, like right at the end, where now we're in spaceships fighting against space aliens. When I thought this was just a straight up disaster movie where the moon basically steamrolled the Earth. So 3.5 stars from yours truly. I enjoyed this, but it's not going to win an Oscar by any means.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. I think 3.5 is a really good rating. So marked it as a movie we liked as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a good call on that rating. I think that's perfect.
And I will say before we get out of the movie here, so if you are interested, if you're interested in getting like a breakdown, like a bigger, more in-depth breakdown of this, I will point you to a YouTube. There's a channel called Pointless Hub where this guy does a really big breakdown of this movie. The video is called Moonfall. Let me see if I can get the name of the video here. The video is called Moonfall: The Greatest Disaster You've Never Seen. He all his videos, he breaks down like a lot of Transformers movies, but he does Roland Emmerich movies as well. And he breaks this one down. It's pretty interesting, kind of gives some background on it as well. But check that video out if you want a more in-depth look at Moonfall and how it came about and what its whole deal is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to thing of the week. Anthony, do you have a thing of the week that you're ready for?
My thing of the week is audiobooks. Have I done that yet?
I don't know.
So
do it again.
If in case I have, I'm just going to do it again. So I've been using the Libby app. It's great because I have a lot of people out there who are really big fans of Audible. I've used Audible in the past, but you got to pay for the books. And sometimes I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to like a book before I read it. I don't have time to just sit down and read a lot of books, unfortunately. And I read all day because I read a lot of research papers for work. And so I've been trying to get caught up on a lot of like Star Wars novelizations because they give a lot of good background into like the Star Wars canon for like all these different shows that come up. Like I mentioned, the Ahsoka show is coming up, so I started listening to Thrawn, which is about one of the characters that will be in that show. So I've been using Libby. Basically, it's like borrowing books from the library. You can borrow books from your local library. If you have family in like a different city somewhere, you can use their address and borrow books from that other city there. You can double your chances. I didn't tell you to do that. I don't know if it's necessarily allowed, but I do it. I'm gonna lose my library card in Florida. I just know it now. But I've been using the Libby service for audiobooks for a while now. Audiobooks are great. The novelizations are really good. I did the entire Expanse series with that as well. And now I'm going back and watching the shows again to kind of see where the differences are between the books and the show. Yeah, I highly recommend it. Check out Libby. It's free. Just sign up for like with your local library, and it's like the use of it is super simple. Like, and you can check. They almost like have almost any book you can think of, and you can check it out. Sometimes you have to wait a little bit, like you would with any library, but use the library. It's like you pay for it in your taxes. Just do it.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So mine is for Christmas, I actually got a VR Meta Quest thing, and I never really messed with it much till I don't know 3 maybe 4 weeks ago. I finally was like, you know what, I'm gonna put it on. I'm gonna figure it out and all that stuff. And I'm having a lot of fun with it actually. And
Yeah.
surprisingly, okay, so everybody knows I'm not a sports person. I just don't really care. But VR golf is really, really fun.
Interesting.
So my dad has. So the reason I got one is because my dad's had one for a while, and so whenever I would go to their house, I'd play it. I'm like, you know what? I'd really like this, so I got it. So he got golf, and now like almost every day, as soon as I clock out of work, I text my dad, and we play a round of golf like before anything else. So it's like,
Oh, so you play it with him?
yeah, you can play with your
Oh, that's fun.
friends. Yeah, so and like that, Hannah has like we got Hannah one as well. Like we spent way too much money, but it's just like cool. Like so now we can all play games together. So it's really fun, and so that's kind of my thing of the week is like I'm really enjoying it more than I thought I would, and especially playing golf. But there's a lot of really fun games on there that uh, I have on my list that I'll eventually buy and play. But like, there's one that's a bartending game, which like it sounds really dumb, but I've watched people play it where like you mix drinks and like you can just do whatever you want. So like he has the bottle and you just like throw the beer like the bottles across the room and like oh I don't know what's happening.
I'm trying to reset my camera. I look drunk.
You do look drunk. It's pretty great. And then yeah, there's just like a lot of weird games, but I'm looking forward to playing it more. So that is mine.
Well,
So
obviously, I've had too much to drink because
Yeah.
I'm just not. My face can't move or anything.
that one got Anthony.
Yeah.
Have you finished yours, Anthony?
So let me finish my last drab here.
So I just finished mine. I'll talk about it real quick. So mine was the Enchantments Hazy IPA. It was delicious. It was really, really good. It was very flavorful, which it should based off everything that's in there.
Yeah.
I think I would give it a straight 4. I think it is really good. If I saw this on tap somewhere, I'd love to try it on tap versus in can. But it's, from Washington, so it's not really close. But
Yeah.
so Anthony, what about you?
I'll say for the moon landing here. So I will say as it gets warmer, it gets sweeter, like a lot of our stouts that we've had previously. It is a pastry stout, so that makes sense. As it gets warmer, it also the chocolate flavor kind of subsides, and it kind of gives way to that vanilla and marshmallow flavor. But the sweetness does get a bit much there towards the end, but its lightness and its texture helps with that a little bit. So I will say I'd probably give this a 3.25, 3.25 on the old Untapped scale. I would say keep it chilled, keep it cold. That'll probably help it go down because as it gets warmer, the flavor just kind of like transitions a little bit in a direction I'm not a huge fan of, but it does taste like liquefied moon pie. So
Interesting. Yeah, that's cool. It's been a long time since I've had a moon pie, and I kind of want one now.
it's funny because I thought moon pies had like a banana flavor to them in the cookie, and there was no banana flavor here.
I don't think they do. Maybe they do though. Cool. I think we did all the things.
Every of the things.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us. You can find us on Facebook at Let's Do a Podcast, Instagram, Let's Instapod, YouTube, Let's Do a Podcast, Twitch, Let's Twitch a Podcast, and of course, Let's Do a Podcast anywhere that you listen to your podcasts. If you have any beer recommendations, let us know. There's a chance that one of us should be able to pick it up somewhere. And if you have a movie recommendation, please let us know as well. We'd love to watch something that you would want us to watch. And besides that, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. And my name's Ryan.
My name is Anthony. I'm frozen. Please help me.
And he's drunk as hell. All right. Let's end a podcast.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.